Welcome back to ScaleSpeedworks. My name's Mike. Today, in this episode of Classic Kit Review, we're going to be taking a look at the first generation Ford Probe GT. I'll cover a brief history of the car, then we'll dive into the kit itself. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Classic Kit Review. Let's get started. In 1983, Ford did something interesting. They set out to replace the upcoming fourth generation rear-wheel drive V8 Mustang with a front-wheel drive 4-cylinder imported from Japan. The new vehicle was on the cusp of production when disaster struck. In 1987, the plan to demuscle the Mustang leaked to the public. With production about to commence, Ford had to start building vehicles or lose its investment and sour its relationship with Mazda. The Ford Probe, a sporty, two-door, four-passenger, futuristic-looking hatchback coupe with a windswept and bubble-like frame, was officially launched in North America on May 12, 1988. Ford executives believed the new car would be a smashing success, and initially it was. Due to its futuristic styling and enjoyable driving experience, demand even exceeded supply, enough so that buyers found themselves paying list price or even higher. But the success didn't last long, and sales soon slumped. For the 1989 model year, the base model Ford Probe was outfitted with a 110 horsepower, 2.2-liter four-cylinder engine. The Probe GT offered a turbo version of the same engine, making 145 horsepower and 190 foot-pounds of torque. By the next model year, Ford began to offer the 3.0-liter Vulcan V6, which produced 140 horsepower and was only available with a 4-speed automatic transmission. The Probe was meant to be an affordable sports coupe, and while the Probe GT managed to hit both of those notes, it didn't do so until the second generation was released for the 1993 model year. The Probe was Ford's effort to please several different kinds of car buyers, and while it had many great qualities, it couldn't meet every single buyer's need. The Probe didn't have a clear place in the market. Even though it looked like a sports car, it didn't have the performance enthusiasts wanted, and although the new model included features such as an adjustable suspension, a sunroof, power mirrors, automatic shoulder belts, front and rear stabilizer bars, and returned 26 miles per gallon, it was unable to do so at a price point to satisfy commuters. Despite having made Car and Driver's 10 Best list in 1989, 1993, and 94, and having been named Motor Trend's Car of the Year, demand, and consequently production numbers, continued to decline. While Ford's gamble on a front-wheel drive sports coupe might not have paid off as a direct replacement for the Mustang, the Probe certainly succeeded on its own merits, joining similar fun-to-drive options that dominated the streets in the late 1980s and early 1990s. The Ford Probe was designed and marketed as a performance coupe, a feat which Ford nearly pulled off. While the turbo four-cylinder was admirable, what the car really needed was a powerful, compact V6. It's too bad Ford didn't have one of those just lying around in a parts bin somewhere. It would have been even better had the engine been designed in Japan, like the rest of the car. The SHO engine used in the Taurus that same year would have really turned heads had it been used in the Probe. The 220 horsepower SHO engine would have vastly outperformed the 145 horsepower Turbo 4 already in use in the GT. Ford even had a transmission already used in the Probe to fit the Yamaha supplied engine. This setup would have been truly remarkable, potentially even rivaling the Mustang in terms of performance. Paired with a 5-speed manual transmission, ride-adjustable suspension, and ABS brakes, the Probe could have been a true competitor to the Integra and Civic Type Rs, the Eclipse GS, or even the Celica GT4. But sadly, this combination never happened, and maybe for good reason. Already priced competitive with the Mustang, a true performance version of the Probe may have undercut Mustang sales enough to the point where the Probe really could have been the next generation Mustang successor. In 1988, AMT released the 1/25th scale Ford Probe GT as a new tool. A unique IMSA iteration of the kit was released in 1989. The kit featured optional fender flares and wide body panels, something AMT and MPC have done many times in the past. Underneath, however, the kit remained the same as a previous release. The final release of the kit in 1989 featured a redesigned front and rear fascia. All versions of the Probe GT maintained the 2.2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Now that we have a little background of the car and the kit history, let's dive in and take a look. So let's take a look at the Ford Probe. This one I've had for a little while now, still sealed up in the box. I recently saw this go for pretty decent money on eBay, so we're not going to be taking a look at that one today. Instead, we're going to take a look at this one. This is the unique Probe IMSA, which I actually really like. I love the wide body panels. Huge fan of that. Still the same Turbo 4. All right, let's take a look. Body. Ooh. There is no detail in the firewall. There's actually very little detail in the engine bay. It's kind of disappointing, and I guess so, unless you're really looking at detailing a Ford Probe. So these obviously get removed. The glass, huge wraparound glass section. Body otherwise looks okay. Let's take a look at the interior. Textured carpeting. Seats look pretty plain, little texture there. Back. Door cards. Very minimal detail in there. Oh well. Other than the creased chassis panels, there's very limited detail here on the chassis. Oh well. Let's see what else we got. The glass. Let me take this out real quick. Huge wraparound glass panel. Put that back in there. Interior for another kit. Bumpers. Pretty cool. I actually like those. Here's all the stock panels. It's kind of hard to see. I'll do it down here. Those look all right. The hood looks all right. Let's get the under hood detail. A little texture, very slight texture under there. Here's your engine and all the engine pieces. Again, little 4-cylinder turbo. These are some exterior wide body panels. Right, here's a fender flare. Here's some other body panel for something. Let's look at that dashboard. Again, very light detail here in the radio, the heater controls. It's going to be real hard to pick those out. And unfortunately, I don't think there's any decals for those. Front seat actually looks all right. I like that front seat. Looks real good. Here's the seat backs. Let's see what else we got here. The exhaust and a muffler. Real tiny little exhaust pipes. Chassis suspension piece. No idea what this is. That's probably another suspension piece. All right. Let's look at the chrome. Chrome looks halfway decent. Pop-up headlights included. That's kind of cool, I guess. Bunch of parts fell off the tree in the box. Nothing really spectacular there. The tires, let's take a look at the tires. Goodyear Eagle VR50s.
tire tread actually looks very nice. Small tires, though. They could be a little bit better. They are directional. That's pretty cool. Let's take a look at the instructions. A little bit about IMSA. Engine assembly. Pretty basic. Very small instruction sheet. Finish up the engine assembly. Here's the chassis assembly. Okay, that's neat. Rear suspension. Drive shaft. Again, there's the optional IMSA body panels. Don't know if I'm going to put those on or not. They do look pretty cool. Doesn't look like the engine compartment gets too much more detailed than it already is. And this is interesting. The headlights, you attach the headlights to the hood. That's kind of weird. I don't know if they were like that in the real car or not. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research, take a look. But here's the optional headlights, the optional pop-up headlights. Look at that huge instrument pod that you attach to the dashboard. That's pretty funny. Manual transmission, separate armrest. That's kind of cool. And I guess you kind of take what you get with these older kits. Okay, so there are a couple of more things that you add on to the firewall and engine bay. Still not the most detailed. So you do get the optional BBS wheels or the stock wheels. So that Probe GT decal, I actually saw that while I was doing my research. One of the cars had that exact same decal. Pretty funny. Totally 90s, right? 80s, 90s. That's all there is. Not really too much to it. Ford Probe IMSA. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Thanks to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching my videos. Thanks for commenting. I really and truly, sincerely appreciate all your input. I will see you guys on the next one.